Hi guys, hi. Today we gonna look at modes of curriculum development, and it's gonna be an interesting journey. So we start with definitions, and what do we mean by curriculum models? Models are miniature representations that summarize data and phenomena. So they aid in understanding processes and help in theory building. So you have your data and you like to summarize it. One way you can go around it or go about it is by using models. For instance, we can see there's an example of self-development. So I want to generate content or produce content on this topic. One way is to use models and summarize the whole thing for you, for yourself. And so when it comes to self-development, I can just look at it in summary. Like for instance, the aspect of knowledge, uh, workshops, education, trainings, seminars, skills, learning, and improvement. So it's a summary of all that you would cover as far as self-development is concerned. Another example is when you look at goals. You can summarize it in terms of is it measurable, is it achievable, is it specific, is it realistic, is it timely, and what is the success of these goals, what are the success rates. So that's one thing we can look at in terms of understanding. One way we can look at in terms of understanding of what models are. So we're going to delve into the types of models now that we have been able to understand what do we mean by models. And we simply say they are miniature representations of your summarized data. So let's proceed and look at the types of models that we have. But we are going to just be specifically to the curriculum models. Because I know there are myriad of dimensions of models as far as types out there in different disciplines. But we're going to focus ourselves to the curriculum models. Mhm. So the number one type of model is the physical model. So these types of models, they are just simply three-dimensional. For example, by three-dimensional, I think you understand that. You may understand the, the three dimensions means anything that has the height, the width, and the breadth. So, for instance, an arrangement of balls to show the structure of molecules, and we have an example here of such arrangement. So this is a model. So that's a physical model, can be used in many other forms and disciplines, and sometimes it may be used as a curriculum model. Another type of model is the conceptual or verbal model, and this is simply just textual explanations of a concept in summarized form. So for example, if you want to explain the education transformation, you can use a model. And here we have also an example of student success, and it is summarized from the top notch that we have leadership, good leadership, we have good policies, and then we have the frameworks that contribute to student success. And one of it is professional development, we see research and evaluation, we see curriculum assessment, we see sustainable resourcing, we see information and communication technology. So those are conceptual or verbal models. Another type of model we see is mathematical models, and they use formulas to explain a concept when it comes to mathematical models. And the formula simply just gives you a way around in terms of arriving to solving a problem. So we see, let's say, when it comes to the Ohm's law, we see there's voltage, there is current, there is resistance. So, and we see it's a more of a pyramid. So for me, if for instance, if I want to get the voltage, I just use the current and the resistance. And if I want to use the resistance, to get the resistance, I will take the voltage over the current. And if I needed to get the current, I'll just take the voltage over the resistance. So this is a mathematical model. Another type of model we see is the graphical model. And it uses drawings and graphics to illustrate a process. But when it comes to curriculum development and curriculum models, we have generally been limited to conceptual and graphical types of models, as we have seen them earlier. So graphicals, they're just pictorials. Like we have examples here, like food knowledge graph. We see it's drawings, pictorial representations. Yeah, those. So we have graphical and conceptual. So texts and pictures when it comes to curriculum models. Another type, we can say it's a typo, developed by Ralph Tyler model. Uh, so when it comes to Ralph Tyler model, we learned that originally it was developed by Franklin Bobbitt and further expanded by Ralph Tyler. It is aimed at making educational programs more efficient. It is based on scientific management principles. Another thing we need to get to know about this kind of models that it raised fundamental questions for curriculum planning. And we look at these four fundamental areas. The first question will be to define the purpose of school. The second one will be selecting related educational experience. And then we get to understand organizational or organizing related educational experience and evaluating the objectives. So that is all about Tyler model. I think we can look at it further. The fundamental questions we have looked at: the purpose of school, educational experiences related to the purpose and organization. And so when it comes to educational purpose of school, we ask ourselves this question: what educational purposes should the school seek to attain? So the answer gives rise to educational aims and objectives. Objectives serves as foundation for the curriculum planning process. So when we ask ourselves, what educational purpose should the school seek to attain? So this should lead us to the education aims and objectives. Why do we have the school? And these objectives are the foundation for curriculum planning process. Taylor goes on to state three sources of these objectives. So what are the sources of these objectives? One, study of the learner. So education is about changing learner behavior. So we need to study the learner. So studying the learner helps identify desirable behaviors or the desired behavior. What do we want to achieve? Because at the end of the day, if we want to change the learner's behavior, so which type of behavior do we want to achieve? So these are the sources of our objectives. Number one, let's look at the learner. What do we want to achieve by changing the learner? Number two, study the contemporary society, understanding societal needs and requirements. In this framework of this society, what are the needs? What are the requirements? So what are we aiming to achieve from the society? And tailoring the curriculum to meet those needs. For example, developing small industries in the job market. Wow, so we get to know our number one source is the learner, number two is the society, then we get to see the third source. The third source, suggestions from subject specialists. So it is important also to consult the specialists to provide expertise in curriculum development. Their input influences the objectives to be attained. So I think from here we'll build further on this with our consecutive videos. Thank you for your attention.